Here are some hand motions to help you remember our American presidents in order. I'm going to do them in chunks and build as I go so we get through the whole list of presidents. So if you just want to go all the way through all the presidents with all the hand motions, then skip to the end of the video. So we're going to start with our first chunk, with our first 5 American presidents. First is Washington, like we're washing. Then Adams, we're going to reach up high like we're reaching for an apple. Adam, apple. And then for Jefferson, we're going to take that apple and just rub it on our shirt like we're cleaning it, getting ready to take a bite. Then Madison, M, Monroe, M. So let's do those first 5. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Good job. Next we have Adams, and this is the son of the previous Adams president. So we're going to reach again for an apple, but we're going to reach a little lower on our tree because it's father and then son. So Adams, and then Jackson, we're going to jump out like we're a jack in the box. Jackson, Van Buren, like we're driving a van. Harrison, just going to get our hair and just fluff it a little bit. So let's do those first 2 chunks together. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison. Our next 3 are Tyler, like this, like we're tying. Tyler, Polk, like polka dots, Polk, and Tailor. Tailor is someone who sews clothing, so we're sewing. Let's do our first 3 chunks. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Tailor. Then we have Fillmore. We're filling a cup. Pierce, we're piercing our hearts. Buchanan, think of a cannon, shoots out. Buchanan. And Lincoln wore a tall stovepipe hat. Let's do those 4 sections. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Tailor. Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and Lincoln. Then the easiest section is Johnson, Grant, and Hayes. Sign language here. JGH. Johnson, Grant, and Hayes. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the next section too, because that one's so easy. Then we have Garfield. I'm thinking of Garfield the cat. So these are the whiskers. Garfield, Arthur, like Arthur the aardvark from the show. So we're making a long nose. Cleveland, just a C. Harrison, so another Harrison but different. So now we're going to do a hair flip for this Harrison. Cleveland, so this Cleveland was president 2 terms but non-consecutively. So 1 and then we're going to do, he's president again. So Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley. Mount McKinley is named after him. So let's put those, so far let's put all those chunks together. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Tailor. Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and Lincoln. Johnson, Grant, and Hayes. Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley. Then we have Roosevelt. We'll go like this because President Roosevelt, when he was in the war, he wore this cool hat. So we got Roosevelt, Taft, because he had a really cool curly mustache. Wilson wore these types of glasses called pince-nez, and they pinch your nose right here, so we're like this for Wilson. Harding, we're hitting something hard. Coolidge, cool. And Hoover, this is our Hoover Dam. Hoover Dam is named after President Hoover. Let's put all those together. We only have 2 chunks left. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Taylor. Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, and Hayes. Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley. Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover. Great job. Only 2 chunks left. Then we have Roosevelt. This is FDR, and he was in charge of new government programs called the New Deal. So we're going to go like this, like we're dealing cards. Truman was president when we dropped the atomic bomb. So here's our atomic bomb. Eisenhower, we're going to make an E. Kennedy, you can jump out and make a K with your arm up and your leg out. Johnson, just make a J. Nixon, he resigned. So we're going to put our thumb out. He had to get out of office. And then Ford, driving our Ford. Let's put all those together. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Taylor. Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, and Hayes. Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley. Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover. Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford. And our last chunk, also an easy one. Carter, Reagan, because he had a big smile. Bush, B for Bush. Clinton, and then our Bush, we have Bush Sr. and Bush Jr. So we're going to do high and low, kind of like we did with the Adams, because it's father's son. So Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, we're going to make an O, Obama, and then Trump, trumpet. And that's it. So here are all the presents with all the hand motions from beginning to end all the way through. Are you ready? Let's do it. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, and Monroe. Adams, Jackson, Van Buren, Harrison, Tyler, Polk, and Taylor. Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and Lincoln, Johnson, Grant, and Hayes. Garfield, Arthur, Cleveland, Harrison, Cleveland, McKinley. Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, Harding, Coolidge, Hoover. Roosevelt, Truman, Eisenhower, Kennedy, Johnson, Nixon, Ford. Carter, Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump.